certainly want to welcome you to our third of a four-part series on marketing. We're super excited to have you here and joining us. And I'm going to share my screen here with you in just a second here and start going through our presentation. We are really, really excited to have Jeremy with us this evening and talking about digital marketing, which is certainly something I think we all need a little bit of help with, especially in the complex world of digital marketing. But first, I want to just welcome you to Minnesota Score. Obviously, those of you who have been with us for this four-part series, this is the third in four parts. If you know anything about this organization, this is a fantastic organization to get involved with. Our chapter is full of just expertise and folks that are here to help you with your small business. If you know anything about SCORE, we're part of the SBA. We have mentors across the country, and we're here to help businesses in starting, leveling up their skills, growing their business, and even helping folks that are planning on exiting their business. So our chapter, obviously, we have a lot of experience and a lot of members to help you in growing your business. We have 800 plus unique clients. And if you're interested in getting mentorship with us and working with us, please just reach out to us. You'll have opportunities to do so through email and even at the end of our session here today. But as I mentioned, all of the services that we provide, and I was a business consultant for years and charging a lot of money to do the stuff that people in SCORE are doing for free. So this is an awesome opportunity for you to take advantage of some pretty amazing folks who have just awesome expertise. Now, this live stream series is really here to help you in marketing your business and developing marketing plans for your business, but also look specifically at how this can help you as we come upon Black Friday and Cyber Monday. That we're trying to prepare businesses for these events and help in catalyzing some sales. Obviously, we couldn't be here without sponsors, so I want to thank our sponsors. They're listed here. We truly appreciate their generosity, as you should, because they're one of the reasons why you have these opportunities that are for free. So without further ado, I want to introduce Jeremy. Jeremy holds a BFA from the Art Institute, and he has over 10 years of experience in digital marketing. His expertise is in not only website design and search engine optimization, which God knows we all need that, but also in looking at paid advertising campaigns. And this is something pretty critical for all of us as we look at Facebook advertising, or we're going to look at LinkedIn advertising. How are we advertising our business online and paying for that? Also email marketing campaigns and social media marketing. And this fuels his passion in helping businesses of all sizes. And Jeremy really truly focuses on optimizing revenue. Gosh, we all need that in this time. So he owns several companies, and he really focuses on innovating and revolutionizing the industry of digital marketing. So without further ado, I want to introduce Jeremy. Welcome, Jeremy. We are so excited to have you in joining us today and bringing us your expertise and sitting there in the driver's seat. You look like you're in a race car, man.
Thanks.
I love it.
Yeah, well, thank you all for having me today. I've been part of SCORE for going on almost 3 years now. I started actually looking for a mentor when I wanted to start my first business. And I got paired up with Nabil, who's just been amazing. And ever since then, I just wanted to give back and help more local businesses, understand the basics of digital marketing. And that way you guys can just kind of, wrap your heads around it a little bit to kind of get an idea of maybe where you should go with it. So I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen. And hopefully you guys will be seeing that. Today we are going to be talking about digital marketing and how to generate growth and increase revenue online. Usually this is something that we would do in a 2-hour workshop, so I had to really take a lot out of it to fit it within a 45-minute time frame. So I'm going to dive deep into a couple areas that are really, sort of the more important areas, but we're going to kind of scrape the surface over a lot of the digital marketing channels that are available to us today. So again, just to go over myself a little bit, I am the CEO and founder of Ignition Digital Marketing, which is a full-service digital marketing agency located right here in Bradenton. And I also just founded a software company called Simply Optimize, which is using artificial intelligence and machine learning to automate the technical and on-page SEO process, which can save, hours, if not weeks of work. I am officially a certified SCORE workshop presenter as of a couple weeks ago. And over the past 10 years, I've helped hundreds of businesses generating tens of millions of dollars in revenue just from digital marketing. And I work with businesses of all sizes. So, right now, of course, I work with a lot of franchises and enterprises, but, I got my start working with local small businesses, and a good majority of my current clients are also local small businesses. So I've got experience, from those one-person startups, those, people coming to SCORE looking for help, all the way up to those bigger clients. So today we're going to be talking about these here. We're going to go over website design, and we're going to go over a few key topics in this area because your website is going to be the foundation of your digital marketing campaign. If you don't have a good website, you're not going to have a very successful campaign. So we're going to talk about the fundamentals there and building up that strong foundation. We're going to go over search engine marketing. So Google My Business listing, pay-per-click advertising, and organic search results, which is the SEO. Now, we're not going to get too deep into SEO today. We're actually going to do a presentation next week at the same time that is just all about SEO. So we're going to do a deep dive into that next week. We're going to do social media marketing. So we're going to go over social platforms, which ones you should use, making sure that you have a consistent posting schedule, and also paid advertising there. And then the last thing that we're going to cover today is email marketing. So how to create lead magnets and how to use retargeted marketing. Now, for the SCORE clients out there, this should look very familiar. This is the business model canvas, and digital marketing falls under the channels section of the business model canvas. And if you've worked with Nabil before, who was my mentor, usually the channels is the third option that you want to focus on aside from your value propositions and your customer segments being 1 and 2. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just dive into digital marketing. So what is digital marketing? Well, digital marketing, also known as internet marketing or online marketing, is utilizing digital channels to market your brand, your services, and your products to potential customers. And the primary goal of a digital marketing campaign is to drive traffic to your website and then convert that traffic into paying customers. So how does it work? This is a general funnel of what a digital marketing campaign works. So the first step is to attract your potential customers. And then you want to engage with those customers. You want to capture their contact information so you can turn them into a lead. And then you want to nurture that lead. And then eventually they turn into a paying customer. Now, the beauty about digital marketing is that sometimes you get to skip some of these sections. For instance, if somebody comes to your website and they sign up for a form, or if they just call you right out the gate and say, hey, I'd like to hire you to do some work, well, you don't have to worry about, engaging with them much or nurturing that lead. But this is essentially what the generalized concept is of creating that funnel through digital marketing. So like I said, the first thing that we're going to talk about is website design. And the reason that I'm going to be going over this is because it all starts here. This is going to be the foundation of your digital marketing campaign, so you want to make sure that you get it right. So again, your website's going to be the foundation of your online presence. It's the central hub for everything that you do online for your business. And the goal of your website is to provide information to visitors and to convert them into paying customers. So you want to think of your website not as just an information hub, but also as a salesperson. Your website is there to sell your products or your services for you. The best part is, it's available 24/7, 365 days. It doesn't take a commission on any sales that you do make. And it's just, it gets sick every now and again, but having a good maintenance plan or being able to just take care of the website yourself, you can mitigate a lot of that. So you have to make sure that your foundation is solid before you can engage in a digital marketing campaign. You wouldn't want to build a house on a crumbling foundation. So the things that we're going to be going over for web design, there's a few key ones here. You want to make sure that you have a modern design. You want to make sure that your design is responsive. You want to make sure that your website is scalable. We're looking at speed optimization as well, making sure that it loads quickly, making sure that you have clear communication on your website, making sure that you have a clear, unique selling proposition, and you want to make sure that your website is conversion optimized. Because again, it's one thing to present your information in a nice way, but it's another to actually use your website to convert visitors into paying customers. So the first thing is having a modern design. It's a common practice to have your website redesigned every 3 to 5 years to keep up with modern trends. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to completely overhaul your website. It just, you got to make some tweaks here or there just to make sure that it stays modern. Your website is or will be the first impression of your business for the majority of your customers. And a visitor is going to perceive an outdated website as an outdated business. And we can look at the example here in the picture. On the left-hand side, you've got an image of a website that looks like it was Web.1. You've got a very basic HTML table design. If somebody were to see this website today, they would be like, gosh, how old is this website? Are they even still in business anymore? Whereas, after a redesign, it looks modern. It uses a lot of the common trends. So you can see a lot of, flat colors. You can see some spacing, using white space in your website, letting it breathe so a user doesn't feel suffocated on your website. And it's just very important because you want to have somebody who comes to your website, you want that familiarity there. You want a customer or a potential customer to feel comfortable browsing your website. So it's very important to have a modern design. And the next topic is responsive design. Having a responsive website ensures that no matter what device a user is looking at your website from, it looks good and it functions properly. There are more users browsing the web from mobile devices than there are from desktops, and that divide grows year over year over year. The current good practice is to have a mobile-first mindset when designing a website. Now, the interesting thing here is if you sell directly to consumers, so if you're B2C, then the majority of your customers will be coming from a mobile device. If you're a B2B entity or business to business, you provide services or products to other businesses, the majority of your visitors will actually be coming from desktop. So this is just something to keep in mind there. Scalability. So when designing your website, it's important to think about the long-term goals of your business. These goals will ultimately include digital marketing. Building your website on a scalable system like WordPress allows you to seamlessly grow your website with your business. This eliminates the need to have to implement new systems every time your business grows or every time you redesign your website. Now, a lot of do-it-yourselfers, and I see this a lot with businesses just starting and very small businesses, they use services like Wix, Squarespace, Webflow, Weebly. There's tons of them out there. And while they're great at giving a business owner a platform to sort of do it themselves, it's very limiting when it comes to actually running a successful digital marketing campaign, and the fact that they can't scale with your business. They essentially hit a plateau. With WordPress, it's open source, which means there's a lot of support for it. Anybody can develop for it. There's tons of plugins. You can build any type of website you want with WordPress, and it scales. And now, me personally, I've actually worked on and built multi-million-dollar e-commerce sites on WordPress. The other thing is that with Squarespace and Wix and these sort of do-it-yourself platforms, they are just now starting to get some SEO tools built into them. However, they're extremely primitive, and you're not going to get nearly as much effectiveness out of those if you were to go with WordPress. And there's the two big SEO plugins right now for WordPress are Rank Math and Yoast SEO. Those are the two big ones. Rank Math is fairly new. It just came out about a year ago. Yoast has been around for a long time. And with those plugins, you're going to be able to get your website to rank very, very highly pretty quickly, depending on the competitiveness of your area. But again, you know, if you're looking to scale your business and to have an effective digital marketing campaign where we need a bunch of those integrations with your analytics and data, you know, WordPress is definitely the way to go. Next, we're going to look at speed optimization. So users today have very, very short attention spans, and they get shorter almost every day. You know, you need to make sure that your website loads as fast as possible. Long loading times will end up with users becoming frustrated and leaving your site and going to your competitor's website. Up to 3 seconds is the ideal loading time for a web page. Anything shorter than that is great. If you can get it under a second, then that's, you know, fantastic. But usually the average is you want it about 3 seconds. Websites with shorter loading times are also favored by Google when it comes to search engine optimization. Now, there's a free tool that you guys can use out there. I personally use it too. It's called GT Metrics. It's the one that's up on the screen right now. And you can even go to Google right now, type in GT Metrics, and then you can actually put in the URL of your website, and you can see the speed statistics of your website. So this is a tool that I use when I'm trying to optimize loading times of websites. It gives you how long it took for your website to fully load, or that page specifically. It shows you the size of that page, and it also tells you how many requests are being made. So how many items does your web page need in order to be fully loaded? And then you can dive in even deeper into the second image there on the bottom, which is called a waterfall diagram. And that essentially shows you everything that's being loaded on your website and how long it's taking. So if for some reason, you know, your website's not loading very quick, you can just toss it into GT Metrics real quick and use this to diagnose what's taking so long for your website to load. One of the biggest issues is normally with your hosting provider. As a small business, you're looking for budget options. And usually these budget hosting providers, their resources or the server that your website on isn't that great. And really the only way to make that better is to either increase your hosting so that you've got a better server, or to find a more expensive hosting provider. However, you know, even with budget options, you can still make a very, very fast website. Next, we're going to talk about having clear communication. So just make sure the user knows exactly what you do or provide. You don't want to make them guess. For example, and this comes from a personal example of a client that I had. They built and designed custom pools. So if you build custom pools, you know, make it obvious that you design and build pools and you're not a pool supply company. You may offer supplies to your customers, but what you're really trying to sell are custom pools. Now, with this particular client, they had a website, and when you went to the website, it was mostly populated with products, you know, chemicals, salt, pool toys, tools, things like that. And they were wondering why, you know, they weren't getting any form submissions for a custom pool. Well, it's because they didn't have clear communication on their website of exactly what it is that they did. So again, just make sure that you clearly communicate what your business does, where you do it, and who you do it for. The last thing you want to do is to make a customer guess. And then having a clear USP. So this is your unique selling proposition. You know, why should a customer choose you over one of their competitors? Do you have special incentives for customers? Do you have a unique system or a unique process that nobody else has? You know, you want to flaunt that USP on your website, as that's what's going to sell your products or your services. You know, and this is, I think, the first section in the business model canvas. You know, making sure that you show people what it is that makes you different. Why should they choose you over one of your competitors? And the last thing in the web design category is making sure that your website is conversion optimized. So optimized website design is sort of the overarching design philosophy when the goal is to convert your visitors into paying customers. Whether that visitor goal is to collect contact information for leads or to make purchases on your website, the philosophy stays the same. And you can think of the acronym CONVERTS, right? So C is a clear call to action. Again, make it very clear what you want a user to do on your website or on a page specifically. O is your offer. What are you offering? What product is it? What service are you trying to sell them? A narrow focus. Make sure if you're generating traffic through a digital marketing campaign to a specific service page, make sure that that page is only talking about that one service. You don't want to talk about all of the other 100 services that you do, because that's not why they clicked on that link in the first place. They clicked on that link to learn more about one specific service. So make sure that you have a very narrow focus. Your very important attributes, again, this is just sort of your USP. What makes you different? Why is this so much better than a competitor that I could go? An effective headline. This is something you want to make sure is attention grabbing, or maybe it pulls a little bit emotionally. If you've got awards, if you're the best landscaper there is, instead of just having like shrub trimming as your heading, make sure you put like, oh, the #1 most trusted, shrub trimmer in Sarasota. You want it to be effective, and you want it to sort of drive that intent for them to contact you about your services. R stands for resolution, a savvy layout. Again, this goes back to having a responsive design, just making sure that no matter what device a user is using, that your website looks good and it functions properly. T is tidy visuals. Again, this is kind of just staying up to date with modern design trends. You want to make sure that your website's not overwhelming. You want to make sure that there's some breathing room, that you're using proper colors and layouts, so that a user feels at home on your website and they don't feel sort of constricted. And the last thing, and probably one of the most important things, is making sure you have social proof. So this comes in the form of reviews, testimonials, your ratings. So with this, when a customer comes to your website, if they're looking for a product or service, they're trying to solve a problem that they have. So you want to show, hey, we've solved this exact same problem that you have with all of these other people. And here, read these testimonials, read these reviews, watch these videos of people, who are so happy with our services and our products, because that ultimately is what's going to help sell those services or those products to a visitor. So now that we've got our website down packed, we've gone over all of those options, you've made sure that you've ticked the box on all of those for your website. Now we can get into actually marketing your website, right, and starting to drive that traffic. So the first avenue we're going to look at is search engine marketing and marketing to intent-based users. So search engine marketing allows you to market your business to intent-based customers. An intent-based customer is somebody who's already in need of a service or product and is using a search engine to actively find someone who can provide it to them. So this is great as it bypasses half of the sales process. You don't have to convince somebody that they need what you've got, because they're already looking for it. You just need to convince them now that, hey, you're the right person to supply that to them. So with that, which search engine should you market on? I mean, there's tons of them out there, and the big three are Google, Yahoo, and Bing. The short answer, just to keep it simple, is to start with Google. Google makes up 87% of search engine market share. There are 5.8 billion searches per day on Google versus 340 million searches per day on Bing. And that's not to say that you should only market on Google. Eventually you're going to want to span out and do Google and do Bing and do Yahoo, but Google's going to be your best bet just because it is 87% of all of the search engines, and you're going to have the most effectiveness using and marketing Google. So there's three main ways to market your business in search engines. And again, we're going to be focusing mostly on Google because that's the most dominant. But the concepts here are universal. It works across Bing and Yahoo as well. So we're going to look at your Google My Business listing. We're going to look at pay-per-click advertising. And we're going to go over organic search results, or SEO. So your Google My Business listing is the first thing that you can do to start showing up in Google. And the best part is that it's 100% free. You don't have to pay for this service. You just have to take the 15-20 minutes to actually go in there and fill it out. And then to wait a couple days to get a postcard in the mail to verify your business listing. So to start, make sure that you've got a Google account, and then just go to business.google.com. From there, what you'll be able to do is Google will hold your hand the entire way, putting in your business name, putting in your address, and inputting all of the information of your business into Google. And you want to make sure that you do take the time to completely fill this out, because I'm going to show you next where it shows up, and I'm sure all of you have seen this. So make sure that you upload pictures like logos, work in progress photos, team member photos, office space photos. You can even do videos, and make sure to completely fill out this this listing. And this is where it shows up. So if you were to type in landscaper Sarasota here, which is what the example is, your Google My Business listing is what shows up in what we call the local map pack. So it shows a map of the surrounding area that you're searching in, and then it gives you 3 listings plus an advertisement. Now these are those Google My Business listings, and the only way that you can show up here is if you have a business listing in Google. And again, it's completely free. So it's extremely important, especially for service-based businesses or homeowner services like lawn care, plumbing, roofing, electrical, garage door repair, whatever it may be. Those types of services really benefit from having a Google My Business listing. One of the things, because this kind of gets into SEO and search engine optimization a little bit, but with the Google Map Pack, it has its own ranking system. So Google ranks the business based on a ton of factors, but some of the big ones are how long has your business been around, not necessarily your business listing, but how long has your business been around, and how many reviews your business listing has. On top of that, what is your average review rating? So those are sort of the top 3 things that Google's going to look at and to serve that business in that local map pack there. Now, the way that it works is, if somebody is in Sarasota and they type in a landscaper near me, it's going to show them the same thing as if they were to type in landscapers in Sarasota. And again, what it tries to do is it pulls all of the local businesses in that area that are under the category of landscaping, and it tries to serve the best possible options there. So again, it's extremely important to just take 15-20 minutes, go to business.google.com, sign in with your Google account, and then actually create your business listing. And one of the great things about your Google My Business listing is that it gives you a dashboard with a ton of great analytics. So you can actually see things like how many times your business listing has been viewed over the past month, how many times it showed up in searches, and how many times people have actually engaged with your business. So this is actually a screenshot of a client of mine, and you can see just in the past 28 days, they've had 17,500 views. They showed up in 16,000 different searches, and they've had a little over 550 people actually engage with their business listing. Now, an engagement means they either went to the website, they called directly. There's a call now button that they can click on to call the company. There's even areas where they can submit a contact form directly through the Google My Business listing. So again, this is a great way to get your business in front of potential customers for free. So next we're going to look at pay-per-click advertising. And this is the second way to market your business on Google, which is through a Google search ads campaign. And the way that this works is kind of like an auction. You want to choose the search terms that you want to show up for, and then you set a bid amount. And it's whoever bids the most will show up the highest on that search results page. Now, if you want to maximize the efficiency and effectiveness of your Google Ads campaign, do not use Google Smart Campaigns. A Google Smart Campaign essentially is You start an advertising campaign, you type in the industry that you're in, you type in the location, and then you set a budget amount. And then you just let Google kind of take the reins from there. But what happens is that it chews through your budget and it leaves you high and dry because there's no optimization there. You're just giving money to Google and saying, all right, just do what you will with it. And you should also be wary about doing it yourself because there's a lot more that goes into an advertising campaign than usually anticipated. And usually with a campaign that's properly managed, I mean, you're talking about pouring hours and hours going over analytics and data to then trim the fat on stuff that's not working, do things like advanced bid adjustments to increase your bid amounts on like certain times of day that's performing well, decreasing it in other areas. There's a lot that goes into a successful managed campaign. And also on a side note, if you do plan on running a Google Ads campaign by yourself, do not put your faith into a Google Ads rep. And the reason for this is that, yes, they are Google employees, but they're salespeople. They're not ad experts. Their main job is to try to get you to put more money into their system. Now, the Google ad reps that agencies like mine work with are the real experts. They're the ones who actually know the ins and outs of the Google Ads platform. So they're a lot different than the people that somebody who just calls the Google support will get. So again, if you want to do it yourself, there's a ton of YouTube videos out there that can help you along the way. But just know that if you need help, if you call a Google Ads rep, more than likely the answer is going to be, oh, you need to put more money into it. And usually that's not the case, because if you have a proper managed campaign, you can have the same budget and then continue to get more and more and more clicks as you refine and you analyze all of the data. And the great thing about running search ads is that you can start generating leads with a matter of days. Now I've had success in the past where I start and initialize a campaign in the morning, the ads get approved by the afternoon, and we're already getting traffic and leads by the evening time. So advertising is a great way to just start generating some business right up front. However, the real growth of your website will come from search engine optimization. So search engine optimization, or SEO, actually accounts for 50% of all website traffic. So SEO is what's going to generate the majority of your business eventually. The downside to SEO is that it takes anywhere from 6 to 8 months to start seeing results from it. And that's because SEO is based on thousands of algorithms, and it takes time for Google to understand your site, see the optimizations that have been made to it, and connect your site with other sites. Now, there's an analogy that I like to make where think of your website like an orange tree, right? You're planting this tree or this sapling with the end goal of having your own oranges, right? And you can think of the oranges as your leads. So with SEO is the nourishing of that website. It's like putting a compost pile down, making sure you've got the the pesticides on there and making sure that you're watering it. SEO is nurturing your website so that it slowly starts to grow over time. And what happens is eventually your website will grow to the point where it starts producing its own leads through the search engines. Now, during that time that your website is still growing, you may have to go down to the market to buy some oranges because, well, your tree's not ready yet. It's not big enough to do that yet. And so that's where the advertising comes in. You want to go and do some advertising up front to get those initial leads while you're doing an SEO campaign simultaneously, nurturing and growing your website so that your website starts to generate those leads for you. And the great thing about that is, once you start to rank on the number 1, number 2, or number 3 spots organically, you don't have to advertise for those keywords anymore. So now, because you rank so highly, you essentially own that keyword organically. And believe it or not, 70% of all traffic, actually skips those ads in the map pack at the top, and they go directly to those organic results because they know those are the trustworthy results. You know, they think, hey, you know, if they're ranking #1 organically in Google, they must be a really good company to work with. You know, and that's why SEO is still sort of the king of digital marketing, just because it drives so much traffic. But again, you have to understand that it does take a while for it to actually happen and to start working. And SEO is usually broken down into 3 sections. I'm just briefly going over this again. We're going to go much more in depth next week, but we're still going to kind of go into it a little bit here because it is important. So the 3 main pillars are technical SEO, on-page SEO, and off-page SEO, or authority building. So technical SEO, to sum up this slide, is essentially all of the coding and the back-end stuff going on your website. And there's a lot of tools out there that will allow you to figure out what the health is of your website. And if you ever see a lot of these digital marketing websites or advertisements, they're always saying, oh, hey, you know, come check the health of your website. What they're doing is they're running a technical audit on your website. And there's a lot of free tools that you can actually go out there and do this for yourself. However, the best one to use is a software called SEMrush, and it's just semrush.com. Now, it is an expensive tool starting at $100 a month, but it's extremely invaluable when it comes to actually marketing yourself in search engines. So not only does it have an auditing tool that allows you to really dig into your website with over 100 different technical items that it searches for, but you can also audit your competitors' websites. You can see what your competitors are ranking for. And you can do a lot of competitor analysis just from a search engine standpoint. You know, so maybe down the line as your company grows and grows and you've got a big competitor that you're kind of competing with, especially in the search engines, you can use a tool like this to see how can I get on top of them? How can I be better than them? So, you know, with a technical audit, you'll be able to know everything that needs to be fixed. And this is usually the first step in the SEO campaign, because there are some issues on the technical side that can prevent your website from actually being indexed by Google at all. And so if you skip this step and you do a lot of on-page optimization, you do the authority building, it can all be for naught if there's a single issue from the technical side that's preventing and blocking your website from actually being shown up on Google or other search engines. So again, this is always the first step. You always want to make sure that the technical side of your website is good to go before moving on to the next step, which is going to be your on-page SEO. Now, on-page is everything that has to do with the content of your site. So the text, the images, the keywords, all of the linking that you're trying to do. Even down to like your keyword density, how often is that keyword being used? Every page should focus on a single keyword, and you should never try to rank for more than one keyword per page. And also, you don't want to try and rank for one keyword with multiple pages, because Google's trying to figure out what page it should rank on your website. So if you've got multiple pages all trying to rank for the same thing, you end up confusing Google, and Google doesn't know which page to display for that search. So what ends up happening is your overall ranking for that keyword drops down dramatically, and you end up not really ranking well for it. And the average page that ranks #1 on Google has a word count of 1,800 words, and that tells us that Google loves content. You know, for me, I had trouble in high school writing a 2-page paper, you know, so especially, you know, as a business owner who may not have that time to actually write that content, it can be a bit daunting to say, man, I have to write 1,800 words per page. But, you know, it really is important that you have good content in there, because that's what Google loves to serve. And the last pillar of SEO is your authority building, or everything that happens off of your website. So authority building is, with Google, it's kind of like how trustworthy your website is, you know, because again, Google's whole point is to try and serve its users the most relevant and the most trustworthy information. And the way that it figures this out is it looks at all of the other websites that are pointing back to yours. So if we come into the physical world, you can assume that, okay, I'm looking for a dentist. So I go to my friend and I say, hey, do you know a good dentist? And they go, oh yeah, I've got this great dentist. Here's his business card. And I say, okay, well, let me ask a couple other people. If I ask all those other people and they're all like, oh yeah, I know a great dentist, and they give me the same business card of the same dentist, then I know that that's a pretty good dentist to go to. And Google does the same thing with websites. It wants to see that, hey, you're a very trustworthy source of this product or the service because all of these other websites are referring back to you for those products or those services. Now, again, if you want to learn more about how to build up your trustworthiness, that's going to be in the presentation next week. So definitely be sure you come back to watch that. The next section we're going to be talking about is social media marketing, and this is marketing to passive users. Okay, so social media is mostly used for brand awareness, customer interaction and engagement, and building trust in your brand. However, you can also advertise quite successfully on these platforms, even if you are a service-based industry. The key to being successful with social media is being consistent. Right? And there's a few key factors that you should consider when you want to market on social media. It's like, well, what social platforms should I choose? Setting up a consistent posting schedule of meaningful content, and then potentially advertising on social media. So let's talk about the different platforms that you can market on. You know, which one should your business focus on? And it really depends on what industry you're in and the target demographic that you're trying to market to. Having a Facebook page is pretty much universal. Every business should have a Facebook page. If the services that you provide are very, very visual based, like you can provide good before and after images, and we're talking, general contractors that do kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling, roofers, landscaping, before having a very overgrown yard to now having a nice, beautiful yard. Having an Instagram account can be very, very beneficial. Now, there are certain industries that I've seen become very popular on YouTube, notably, industries that can have a time lapse of their service. So again, like a painting company, a landscaping company, I can't tell you, how popular having just a time lapse of mowing an overgrown yard. I mean, there's channels out there that get millions and millions of views per video just because people find that sort of thing so satisfying. So if you're in one of those industries where you can do a time lapse with a good before and after, definitely also look into YouTube because you can generate a lot of potential business through there. And also it has a lot of social cues for SEO purposes as well. So even though YouTube is separate from your website, it can still greatly increase your search engine performance. Products, if you sell products do very well on Instagram and Facebook as well. If your target demographic is businesses, LinkedIn is going to be your best bet. If your target demographic is mostly to younger people, like maybe you sell toys or you provide summer camps, platforms like TikTok or Snapchat are a great way to market. But for the majority of small businesses, again, Facebook is a mandatory. If you're a B2B, then you want to make sure you also have a LinkedIn. If you're more, selling to consumers, make sure you have your Facebook, and then look at possibly doing an Instagram or even a YouTube account. Consistent posting schedules. So again, consistent, thoughtful posts shows that your business is active and ready to be engaged. A consistent posting schedule gives you the opportunity to reach more people. Now, posting inspirational quotes every day is not engaging content. It's okay every once in a while, especially if it's part of a bigger story that you're trying to tell. But keep it sparse. It's okay to do this on your personal account, but with a business account, you want to be more broad in who you're trying to target, because with inspirational quotes, you get the same people and the same audience coming in and liking that post and engaging with it. But as a small business, especially just starting out, you want to try and go after as many people as possible. And with engaging content, people are much more likely to interact with your posts, whether it be a like, a follow, a comment, a share, a subscribe, whatever it may be. And the goal with social media is, again, to get that customer engagement with your business and to build up that brand awareness. And then just make sure that you're interacting and you're engaging back with your followers. They could be current or potential customers. So, you know, if you make a post on Facebook about something, you get a lot of likes, or maybe you're trying to sell a service and people are asking questions about it. How much does it cost? When can I come in to do this? You know, just engaging with those customers is a great way to actually get more business. Plus, you may get lucky and go viral with a random post. Now, your goal should never be to go viral, because if you're trying to force something to go viral, it'll never happen. You know, it does come from just being consistent and being, you just constantly putting good content out there. And the last bit of social media marketing is advertising on social media. And it can be extremely powerful. But you have to remember that you're advertising to a passive audience. So more work has to go into the advertising campaign in order to convert a customer. And with Facebook, Facebook is the primary social media platform that I use for advertising. And the great thing about it is that you can hone in on very specific target audiences. Now, for those of you that are, you know, afraid of Big Brother, you know, having all of your information, well, if you have a Facebook account, then they have everything on you. They know how old you are, where you live, how much you make, what your interests and hobbies are, even what your behaviors are. So for instance, if you're trying to target somebody who's a frequent traveler, you can do that based on the behavior that has been associated with your account. If you're logged into Facebook and you are surfing the internet while logged in, Facebook actually logs everything that you do. Now, they don't see, you know, exactly what you're typing in, but they can see the websites that you're going to, and they can see the actions that are being performed. So from a digital marketing standpoint, that's great, because there's so much data on people where you can really get down into very, very specific types of audiences to market to. And again, you know, this will allow you to put your products or your services in front of people most likely to become a customer. And the last thing that we're going to talk about today is email marketing and nurturing leads. So email marketing is a great way to nurture leads and to create repeat customers. And there's two ways that you can really maximize email marketing. The first one is to create lead magnets, and the second one is the retargeted marketing, or the lead nourishing. So lead magnets are like little freebies that you can offer on your website or on social media, whether it's like a newsletter sign-up form or a free brochure download that requires an email entry in order to actually download that item. So these gathered emails can then be put into an email marketing platform like MailChimp or Constant Contact, and all of these people coming in can actually be categorized into their own subgroups. So then what you can do is you can craft email campaigns based on the item that they wanted to download. So again, let's go back to like the landscaping example. Let's say you've got a like a brochure on, oh, the best 10 tips for Florida homeowners to for a beautiful green lawn. You know, hey, you know, it's free and it's kind of like a DIY thing, but then somebody downloads that, you know that they're interested in landscaping services. So what you can do is you can craft an email and say, hey, you know, this is how we do it. And then someone reading that pamphlet can really see just how much work goes into making a yard look like that. And they're going to be like, wow, I was thinking about doing it myself, but that's a lot more work than I thought. So maybe I'll just hire this company to do it. So if you create an email campaign just around that, you can then say, oh, hey, check out this yard that we completely revamped. It used to be brown and dead, and now it's vibrant and a lush dark green. And it just gives you the opportunity to, again, be very specific to who you're marketing to. And again, it's a great way to create a sales funnel that pushes a visitor that's interested in more information into being a paying customer. So again, don't be afraid to give out those freebies and even like do-it-yourself type booklets, Because what often happens is people, again, they're interested in that service. They're like, maybe I can save some money, do it myself. But then because the pamphlet that you put together was so detailed and so informative that they realize, I can't do this by myself. So you potentially could have just won yourself a new customer, even though you're giving something away for free. And then the last thing that we're going to be talking about today is retargeted marketing through email. So retargeted marketing allows you to create repeat customers. It's usually done by sending out emails to current and past customers about special promotions or discounts, giving them a reason to come back again and again. You can also keep them up to date with the latest news about your company, keeping your business in front of that customer. But again, just like social media, consistency is the key to a successful email marketing campaign. If you just send one email every 6 months, it's really not doing anything for you. But you also want to be careful because you don't want to email customers too frequently. You could end up being listed as a spam emailer, which will eventually result in all of your emails automatically being sent into a spam folder. Now, this depends on who you're emailing. If you're just emailing a customer base, I would limit it to maybe one a month, just a newsletter once a month. Now, if you're dealing with wholesalers and you have to have, emails for updates to your catalog or something, and sometimes that can happen once a week, that's a different story. But when we're looking at consumers, you want to make sure that it's sparse, but that it's consistent. And make your emails meaningful. You want to ensure that there's actually good content that's worth reading in your emails. If you just say, oh, we have 20% off this month, yeah, you might get some from it, but odds are you probably won't get anything from it. But if you have 20% off this, and you have some content in there and talking about this service that you're offering a discount to, or the product that you're offering discounts to, again, having testimonials and such inside of that email itself, it really increases the odds that they actually take an action within that email. So again, for newsletters, limit this to about once a month. If you've got a lot of specials or promotions, try to group them into a minimal amount of emails. And right now, the big holiday season is coming up. We've got Black Friday, and you've got the Christmas holiday season coming up. So if you're trying to produce any type of discounts for the holiday season on your products or your services, it's very, very important to start getting everything ready now so that you can go into that the email marketing campaign, and just hit the ground running. So that is it for the digital marketing presentation today. We kind of covered a lot of topics, and digital marketing is just a very dense topic to try and cover, especially in a 45-minute window. But again, if you want to learn more about SEO, we do have a presentation coming up next week to go into that. Or if you want some more in-depth information on some of these other channels, feel free to reach out. You can get in touch with a SCORE mentor, and they'll be able to help you out with that as well.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Gosh, what great information for all of us. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat trying to learn for my own business, so that was really great. Just so appreciate you and all the contributions you made. We do have a poll for folks that we are wanting you to fill out this evening before we get to Q&A. And I'm not sure we have a lot of Q&A, but definitely have some actions for you guys to take forward here. If you could fill out this poll for us, we would greatly appreciate it. Obviously, we're trying to figure out if we're meeting your needs and want to make sure we're providing you with the resources and tools you need as well. So definitely, we've got 4 questions here. If you wouldn't mind filling that out for us, so appreciate it. Thank you very much. And then also there is a survey at the very end. We would like you to participate in the survey as well. And that will be posted for you. And you can also sign up to actually get a mentor. If you're interested in getting a SCORE mentor, please feel free to contact us. That's what we're here for, is to help you through, your business challenges and really bring forward, the best resources to you in your business. We did have a couple of questions, Jeremy. So maybe if you could jump on here and answer some questions for folks. We had a few that came in kind of a little bit late here in the game. Um, let's wait for Jeremy to jump back on here with
Yep.
us. Hello.
Hi.
Someone had asked if you could discuss ADA requirements for blind or hearing impaired.
Absolutely. So ADA is definitely a very important topic, especially when it comes to website design. As we know, there was a lawsuit a couple of years ago, I think it was with Winn-Dixie, where an impaired person was having trouble going through their website, and they actually were sued by the person because they couldn't figure out where to go, to get to the nearest Winn-Dixie. There were some issues with that. So with WordPress, there is ADA compliance plugins that you can use, and what they do is they help increase text fonts to make them larger, smaller. And again, with a lot of the technical stuff in SEO, a lot of that is for ADA compliancy. So having things like titles and alt attributes on images. And so for ADA compliance, what happens like with screen readers, they actually read the title or the alt attribute on images. So ADA compliance is definitely extremely important. Now, from a legal standpoint, and this is not legal advice by any means, but I think if you provide, let's say like product, if you have a store location, a physical store location where people, that's the only place people can go to get those items, then absolutely your website has to be ADA compliant. Whereas if it's just a virtual business, you don't necessarily have to be ADA. However, SEO nowadays is definitely looking for that ADA compliance. So it is very, very important that your website is, just to be safe. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. The next question that we had for you was, should we be posting the same content post on all platforms, or is it recommended to post differently on each platform? Really good question.
Yeah, so you can definitely use the same content across a bunch of multiple platforms. I would recommend trying to change it up a little bit. I mean, if you've got a before and after photo, it's kind of hard to have multiple versions of that to post on all of these different outlets. But I mean, it's more than fine to have the same thing. One of those, like, you want to try and edit. I know with, like, if you're on Twitter, you only have a specific number of characters that you can put in, so that may have to be a shortened version. But for the most part, it's okay to have the same content. If you can make it different a little bit, then that's great, because usually people that follow you will have multiple platforms. They follow you on multiple platforms, so it's kind of redundant to see the same thing. But even like with something like with a blog post, if you're trying to promote your blog post on all of the social media accounts, it gets really, really hard to try and have unique items across all of them. So with social media, for the most part, it's okay to have the same content.
Okay. And then another question, if we currently have a website through Squarespace, Wix, or another platform that you do not recommend, at what level of growth do you recommend switching to WordPress? And is that critical even if we have only a few clients at this time?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So like I said, it's Wix or Squarespace. They are very, very good for, startups and just getting started. At what point in growth? I would say when you're ready to actually embark on a digital marketing campaign and you're ready to start investing into that, that would be the time to shift over into a WordPress website. I mean, if you only have a few clients now and you're still trying to grow your business, there's really no need to switch from it at that time. But like I said, if you're ready, if you're trying to rapidly grow your business through digital marketing, then you would want to upgrade it to a WordPress site ASAP.
Okay. And then how do I send my past customers to Google Business Link to gain reviews from them?
Yep. So this is usually done through an email marketing campaign. It's one of the ways that you can utilize emails. But if you have a Google My Business listing, you can actually go into the dashboard, and somewhere in there is actually a button that says to get a review link that you can send to your customers. So usually it's when you set up your Google My Business listing, you get to set up the URL. So, so it's like my business, and then the URL would be something like g.page/your business. And so what it does is when you click on that button, it gives you that link that you can copy, and then you can email that link out to all of your customers. And when they click on that, it'll automatically go to your business listing and open up the review section ready for them to write a review.
Great. And then how does Shopify rank?
So Shopify is an e-commerce platform. It is, I would say it's one of WordPress's biggest competitors for Shopify, just because it is very, upfront, user-friendly. And I know Shopify is very popular among people who are trying to do drop shipping business models. Shopify can rank, and that is mostly going to be down to your on-page optimization. Like I said, with WordPress has a lot more options for SEO and have more powerful plugins, but Shopify definitely can rank. You just have to put in the time to create meaningful content on those product pages.
Okay, and then could you recommend a website builder for a small budget with e-commerce options? And can your company also offer that service?
Yep, so if you're looking for a very easy do-it-yourself route in order to get an e-commerce website up, again, Shopify is a great resource to use. I think the minimum is $15 a month or something like that. You get the first month free, and it's a very, very simple way to get an e-commerce website out there. Now with WordPress, you use a plugin called WooCommerce, and WordPress is a bit more technical to set up. If you want to do it yourself, you can. My company, yes, we do all of that. We do all of the web design services and especially e-commerce websites. But if you're trying to save some money, do it yourself, Shopify is definitely a very user-friendly option.
Okay, great. Well, we appreciate your time tonight, Jeremy. Folks, if you could please go to our chat and see the survey link there and complete our survey. Next Thursday is our next session, and that will be from 5:30 to 7:30, SEO for non-techies and small businesses. We look forward to seeing you again then, and hope that you all have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you, and appreciate you being here with us this evening.